Okay, so I am practicing doing this vlog, making videos, kind of doing a mix of a journal, kind of using this as a journal entry to kind of process through what I'm experiencing. And then also simultaneously, hopefully, some videos to offer help, to offer um, ways that I'm processing and moving through things and my reflections and seeing if I can connect my own dots as I just speak out loud. And also to get more comfortable with speaking on camera. I feel like I'm a bit camera shy. I think that I get really caught up in production value and editing and just doing all of this stuff that kind of keeps me caught in just not showing up. And I really just want to remove the barriers and just show up as I am in any given moment, and not necessarily with a ton of planned content or trying to make it be catchy or sexy or, you know, with the algorithm, hip with the algorithm. I really don't understand technology very well. So I don't know how things work. I just know that I want to show up and I want to start building community, and so that's what I'm going to do. I do have some things. I took some notes. There's three things that I want to talk about, I think, here and now. Because having some sort of structure, at least to be able to make a video title, would be helpful. So something that's come up for me just this morning, actually, I was listening to a podcast with Daryl Anka, who channels Bashar, has been channeling Bashar for many years, probably decades, I think, even. And something kind of stood out to me, and that was him saying that life itself is meaningless and that we assign meaning to it. And this other thought that has been surfacing for me lately is around self-image and self-recognition. And both of the reason that those two ideas are tied together for me, or not, maybe not directly tied together, but when you think about, I like to think of this idea that our reality is only our reality. In other words, the reality that I'm seeing or perceiving is through my own personal matrix. It's through my own set of beliefs and perceptions and understandings and experiences. And even though we collectively share some aspects of reality, or maybe they overlap, we're really only, like, we're really all living our own individual realities. And so naturally we perceive things differently. And those perceptions can be changed and evolved. They are only those perceptions because we are assigning meaning to it. So then that brings me to self-image and thinking, I say I'm camera shy, or I say that I'm having trouble doing XYZ, trouble formulating grand ideas for how to fit into a marketing box or a branding box, or I say that I don't know, I can't think of something else, but I think also that I don't know enough about my schedule, or not my schedule, my my coaching. Like I don't know enough to be helpful. I'm not motivated enough to figure out what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Um, like if I had it, then I would just have it already. Like I would just, like in comparison to other people that I compare myself to, other entrepreneurs mostly, especially in the spiritual space, that just obviously from my perception, like just get it. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I don't get it. But all of that, anyways, all of that is just, it's just a perception. It's just the meaning that I'm assigning to that thing. But it isn't there, it's not a fact. Not only is it not a fact, but it's not fixed. This is good. It's not fixed. It can change. I can change the meaning that I'm assigning to myself. Change. I don't like, I'm so sick of feeling inadequate. I'm sick of feeling like I don't have it. Like I don't have whatever it is that all these other people who are doing what I want to be doing, but I just don't have it. Like, no way. That is such a story. It's such a limiting story. And I'm so exhausted. This is my pen saying, we're not thinking this anymore. Oh gosh, I'm so over it. And I'm anyways. So I'm ready to connect with people. I'm ready to show up in the world. I'm ready to offer my gifts. I'm ready to strengthen my gifts through using them. What a concept, right? When I don't hide away from the world and I actually embrace and engage and show up just as I am, it's a major sign of acceptance. It's a major sign of love, of just overriding the limiting belief that I'm not enough, or like I'm not fancy enough or pretty enough or smart enough, or um, my ideas of how to put out content on the internet is not structured enough, or um, boxy enough, or whatever. And I'm so over all of the noise, and I just want to love myself, and I want to love other people that are interested in my mission and a similar mission, aren't interested in what I'm interested in. Um, People that could benefit from what I have to offer, people that could add to what I have to offer, people that just want to be here. Cool. Like, so I think that the idea of self-image and the idea of evolving my beliefs, really evolving, but also I feel like it's kind of a single choice point. I think it's a process of evolution, and then it gets to this tipping point where it just becomes like, no, I'm done doubting myself. I'm done, at least with this thing, maybe not forever, but at least with what it takes to show up on the internet and put videos of myself out there and promote my services and my offers. Like I'm just done hiding in the shadows about it, and I'm done feeling like there's some reason why I can't live the life that I want to be living, because there's not. That's just a perception, or that's just a meaning that I'm assigning to myself that I don't need to assign to myself. I have the power to say, like, to choose another meaning that I'm assigning to it. It's inherently neutral. It's inherently meaningless. My life is inherently meaningless. I assign meaning to it. I assign my own image of myself. Nobody else does. not to say that it's not influenced. It's not to say that our world is tough. It's tough out here. It's hard to be a human. There is a lot of noise, and there's a lot of influence saying how you should be. Influencing definitions, like there's only one definition of something, like there's only one definition of beauty, or there's only one definition of intelligence or wisdom or knowledge. I don't think it's that black and white. So I'm rewriting my self-image. I'm deciding. I'm at the choice point, and I'm deciding I want to show up. I'm deciding I want to share. I'm deciding I want to process through what I'm experiencing and not do it alone. Or maybe I'll still do it alone. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. But I'm going to just try. I'm just going to show up. I'm going to be creative. And as I get through the beginnings here and can be consistent in showing up, then I imagine I'll begin to have fun with it and start to create more structure. But right now, I'm just trying to remove any barriers that I've held in my mind previously as to why I can't just show up on the internet or in real life and just be who I am purely and authentically and rawly. Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh is not a word other than in the noun form. Anyways, that's just what I want to do. It's just what I want to do. It's how I want to show up, and I'm deciding that that is good enough. I'm deciding that right now who I am and how I am and what I am is more than enough. It's perfect because it's all that I can be in this present moment is all of this. Like, it's me. I'm here. Like, oh, hello. We're doing it. I want to be, I think the word's coming to mind. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to use this in the correct context, but like unabashed, like unabashedly. Don't know if that's the right word. Unapologetically, at least. We'll go with that. Me. Just me. No fancy filters. No fancy post-production editing. No fancy, like, I need to document out what I'm going to say and have the perfect outline. Like, oh my gosh, that's so exhausting. I have 3 ideas, and we've already talked about the first one. So let's go on to the second one. So I had a call with a client earlier today, and they were talking about boundaries and saying, I just need the words to be able to set a boundary with this person. And I was trying to understand, because as she was saying to me that she needed words to set a boundary, she was also saying, like, I just need to tell him that I'm not interested in going on the camping trip. And I'm like, no, but that's the boundary that you just set. Like, what do you mean you need me to help you understand what the words are for this? Anyways, the point that I'm trying to get at is, or like why I wanted to talk about this was because I think people have a harder time not finding the words for the boundary that they want to express, but in feeling emotionally okay to express a boundary. And what we discovered through our call was that she was so guilty from the experience that they had together, her and this person. She was feeling guilty because the comments and the ways that he was communicating with her effectively gave her the impression that she should feel guilty, even though internally she didn't really feel that. but she's an empathetic person, and I think that she was taking it on and thinking that it was hers, but it was not. It was just not hers. And so basically not having the boundary and allowing herself to continue to be in this circle, in the vortex, in this person's sphere without a boundary for herself, led her to feel guilty about just their relationship, and in feeling guilty, not wanting to set a boundary because she felt like she had to be nice to this person because she felt guilty for harming that person when she hadn't harmed. Like, she filed for divorce, like, for very, very valid reasons. And so anyways, all of this is to say, the reason why setting a boundary feels hard is because there is some sort of mismatch emotion from what you need in order to protect yourself. And by protect yourself, I mean protect your energy, protect your mental and emotional state of being. And so naturally, when you feel like you need to set a boundary, it's because you know that you need some kind of distance, some kind of spacer between you and the other person, or whatever it is the circumstance is. It could be a time boundary or whatever, but you know that you need that in order to maintain your own sense of mental and emotional and energetic health and well-being. So where people get in trouble or have a hard time is when they feel a fear of not receiving love from that other person, is a really common one in interpersonal boundaries with other people. They feel like if they express that boundary, that the other person is going to be mad at them, the other person is going to stop loving them, the other person is going to do something unfavorable that they don't control. And so it seems safer to not set the boundary. That's one reason. The other reason, like I was sharing with my client, is around a sense of guilt out of some sort of sense of obligation, or again, a perspective that they should be engaging with that person, or engaging, like work is another one, like time spent at work. There's these often unsaid preconceived notions of what someone should be doing that we become influenced by, and then think that that's what we need to be doing. But in reality, if we look at the evidence, it's not what we need to be doing. So in a work context, this would look like there's an unset expectation that you get all of your work done, and if you're a salaried person and that takes you 60 hours, that's kind of the implied thing. And so we feel like we should be working 60 hours to get all of the work done because that's how much work was put on to us. But that's not the reality of it. The reality of it is that you were hired on that salary to work a workload that was 40 hours a week. And so setting the boundary then of, hey, I can't work 60 hours every single week, is something that for a lot of people makes them feel like then they're not doing a good job, or they're not contributing enough. And it's so the fear then becomes, well, what if I get fired? What if then I'm not getting my work done? And then it becomes a conversation about values and the values misalignment that might be there. And the same thing is in relationships to other people. So other people are going to have their own expectations of you, and especially from childhood conditioning and religious conditioning and societal conditioning, cultural conditioning. You're going to have preconceived ideas of what you should be doing and how you should be acting that are in competition with what you need in that present moment, and what you need for your own unique mix, completely unique to who you are, because you're different than every single other person on this planet. And so it's that budding of what you should be doing, this conditioning of what other people's expectations and what you actually need for yourself and for your own health and well-being. And so it's important to understand that setting boundaries is necessary for you to protect your health and well-being, because everybody else has their own agenda in the world. It's not to say that they're all malicious. I'm not saying that, but people are different. We are all different. And even if it's something as simple as your partner can be a very energetic, outgoing person, and they love you so much and want to spend so much time with you, and because you're with them, you might feel obligated to do that. You might feel obligated to spend all of this time and energy with this person in the same way that they are putting that energy forward. But if you are not that way, if you have half the amount of energy that they do, if you don't, you might need to set a boundary that just says, hey, I can only meet you for half of this or half of this time or whatever it is. And it's not a bad thing. We all have boundaries. We all have capacity limits that need to be expressed so that, again, we can maintain our own sense of health and well-being. We can maintain our healthy capacity limits or bandwidth limits so that we can operate sustainably and in a regulated fashion throughout our lives, and not be going like this all of the time and be like going 100 miles an hour and then crashing and burning and then needing to severely, rest and withdraw and avoid, and then we do that for a while and then we're good, and so then we go back and we're like, anyways. So it's like, we don't need to do this when we can master our understanding of our needs, of our values and our capacity limits, and we can express those boundaries when we need to with other people and even with ourselves. And so when you have that tug of war, it's really an opportunity for you to ask and make a decision, make a choice point of, does it feel in my best interest to express this outwardly to someone, express this boundary, or to keep letting this dynamic happen? But make no mistake, it's your responsibility to set your own boundaries. With my client, it was almost a little bit of victimization in feeling like she was getting sucked into this person. And it was like, oh yeah, I haven't talked to him in 3 days and it's just been so magnificent. And when I talk to him, it's so exhausting. And I'm like, well, do you have to be talking to him? Well, no, not really. But again, here comes the nice thing. Like, there was just, she wanted to kind of keep it cordial or whatever. And that's fine. But at least own up to that choice then. And don't feel like a victim of somebody else's energy if you are not willing to set the boundary to step away from that person and then enforce that boundary and be okay. And that causes grief. I'm not saying, even though it's easy for it to sound like this is an easy thing to do, it isn't an easy thing to do. And there is potentially grief that comes from this. There is a falling away of relationships that happen, especially when you're on a spiritual awakening journey, or when you're on even just a personal development journey, and this journey of loving and caring for yourself more, and you are protecting, making this circle, like this is your sphere, like this is your you sphere. I don't know what to call it yet. I like ChatGPT helped me come up with this name called Sacred Soul Space, and I liked that. Yeah, let's go with that. So this is your sacred soul space, and this is your you, and it is you are the steward of you. And again, everybody else has their own agendas, and it doesn't mean it's malicious, but if you let them take and take and take and take and take, they will. They don't know any better. You have to tell them. You have to tell yourself first. And you have to recognize and care enough about your own well-being to then express these boundaries and set these boundaries again also with yourself. It's not like this is always happening just with other people. It's also with yourself, and setting boundaries for certain things, like how much time you spend doing certain activities like social media, like scrolling, doom scrolling, or playing video games or watching TV, or not working out. Like all of these other things are boundaries too that we have to set for ourselves, of like, okay, we've watched TV for 3 hours. Like we can go do something else now. Like here's a boundary. Or maybe the boundary needs to be on the earlier side of 3 hours. But whatever. That's just me, because that's just me. Anyways, boundaries. It's not to say that there isn't grief or there isn't an initial uncomfortability when you set them. What it is a choice of you choosing to express your own boundary so that you can continue to sustainably and harmoniously be in a relationship to that person or that circumstance in a way that allows you to continue to be able to show up and not burn out and not harm yourself. And when you initially express that, oftentimes, especially in our world, because we have more emotionally unaware people than we do emotionally aware people right now, just on the planet. So it will upset people a lot of the times. They might take it personally, they might get offended, they might not understand, and that's okay. It's not your business. If they choose to not want to understand you and not want to understand and respect and honor how you need to be treated, that's their choice. It really is that simple. Everyone has boundaries. Everyone has capacity limits. It looks different for everyone. Part of being in a relationship is understanding where those boundary lines are. It's just not very common for us to have conversations about that in a very open way, because again, we're just coming into this era collectively as humans. So let's talk about it. I think I'm going to end here, because I see my little time ticker and it's been like 30 minutes, and I think that feels pretty good. So I'll save my next little bullet for another video. Yeah. Thanks for listening or watching or consuming this however you did, if you did. If it ever catches on in cyberspace and other people end up watching it, I don't know. We'll see. For now, I'm just doing this for me. No. Simultaneously, I'm doing it for like everyone, anyone who's interested in me and what I have to say. But I am just kind of using this as a creative space to just show up and create whatever ends up being created when I show up. So thanks for being here for that process. Again, if there is a you listening at some point in the future, and if there is, I hope you have a fantastic day and week and everything, and I just wish you all the joy and health and wealth and self-expression and fulfillment and ease that there could be to come to you. I hope to meet you someday. Okay, bye.